boy Marlo, and y'all already know I doing a video on no other than Madden block. You see what I saying? Full Mile, Dorchester Terrace. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Sticks Movement, and follow me on Instagram at Marlo Industries. Yeah, so let me give y'all boy the overview right quick. Y'all already know I already did an episode on Union Heights, aka the Hike, which is in the blue. That's the first neighborhood you enter when you come into North Charleston, when you coming from downtown. You see what I'm saying? I already did an episode on the Macon, which is in the green. I'm going to do an episode on Acca but Acca was part of the Hike. Acca was more of the plantation side. You know, the Hike had all the movie theaters and the schools and all that good stuff. But Acca had the cattle, the cows, the pigs, the chickens, and the farmland and the crops and everything. All right, Full Mile has a lot of savages, and Full Mile has a deep history too. 5 Mile has a lot of savages, but we gonna get there. You see what I'm saying? But let's get this show on the road, man. The colony of the Carolinas was founded in 1670, but way before the 1600s and before the white Europeans took over, the Native Americans had ruled the land, and they ruled the land with the best technology at that time. For example, today we use pipes to get water to certain places and houses. Back then, they would carve out the tree trunks and use those as pipes to water the crops or the indigo that they grew in the area. They would connect the tree trunks until it reached the Ashley River. Then when the tide rises, the water would come through the tree trunks and water all the crops. Now, when the Europeans came to America, they would demolish the Native Americans, but they kept a few thousand alive to steal their ideas and wisdom. Back in Europe, the land was too cold and there was no tropical sunlight to grow certain crops that they had need. There wasn't enough sunlight to grow certain vegetables and weeds to feed their cows and animals. So the land in the Carolinas was absolutely perfect. Not only the Europeans would steal the Native Americans' ideas, wisdom, and technology, they also had thousands and thousands of black slaves with their own knowledge of the land and animals from West Africa. So with the Native Americans' technology and the Africans' wisdom, the Ashley River side of Charleston would boom. Slave masters would soon find out that most Africans knew how to herd cattle because it was literally in their DNA. These Africans that knew how to herd cattle would become the first cowboys in America. See, in the movies, they took the cowboys and made them white and gave them guns. But the real cowboys, the black cowboys, were basically slaves, just like the cotton pickers. Only difference is they dealt with the animals. By the 1800s, it was this one black cowboy named Clay Holiday, and he was a badass. Clay Holiday was so bad that he could herd more than 150 cows by himself. And back then, that was like a single quarterback playing against 12 other football players. That's nearly impossible. One night, Clay Holiday gathered up a few other cowboys, women, kids, and cattle, and made a run for it. By the late 1800s, around the time most slaves got freed, Clay Holiday would be an old man when he returned to Charleston. When he returned, he brought back everyone he left with, including the family he made. They were all settled on the Ashley River side of North Charleston, which today is known as Azalea Drive, Madden Drive, South Allen, Hop Village, Ashley Shoals, Cambridge, and Murry Hill. Clay Holiday had a grandson named Teddy Holiday that was born in the early 1900s. Teddy Holiday would have 20 kids by multiple women. And by the 1960s, Teddy had more than 60 grandkids roaming around the Azalea Road side of Charleston. When the crack era started in the 80s, one of Teddy's grandkids would witness a box of drugs and guns be dropped off in the neighborhood by a group of white men. It was this guy named Bubba G, and his uncle was one of those kids that found the box of drugs and guns back in the 80s. Bubba G's uncle would become a crack dealer but would be killed in a botched robbery in 1989. Bubba G would be roaming around his mom's basement when he came across a treasure chest. The treasure chest had been sitting there since the 80s before his uncle was killed. Bubba G was only 14, so he opened the treasure chest with caution. He would find 2 kilos of cocaine and a few small semi-automatic handguns. The type of person Bubba G was, he wasn't going to tell a soul what he had found. So every day until he was 18, his goal was to make $150 a day. When he turned 18, he bought his own house and car. By the early 2000s, Bubba G would become a kingpin. Bubba G had a young nephew who was a wild-ass adolescent. This wild-ass adolescent name was Juice. For Juice to only be about 9 years old, he was already a menace. Juice would see other kids in the neighborhood and tie them to trees and leave them there. Or he would set someone's car on fire and wouldn't even care. Juice basically did what he wanted to do because who was going to check him when his uncle ran the whole neighborhood? By the time Juice was 13, he fell in love with guns and would start going on robberies. One day, Juice would go on a robbery with his 2 other friends, and it would end up going bad, causing Juice to shoot the guy 4 times in the chest and 2 times in the face. After that mission, Juice basically fell in love with stepping on all of his problems. From the age of 14 to about the ages of 21, whoever lived in a 4 Mile neighborhood would always see Juice running after they heard gunshots, or see Juice running from the cops. By the time Juice was 22, Juice would be the Fed's most wanted fugitive in the country. It's your boy Marlo, and that just been the episode on Madden Block. Alright, now my take on Madden Block, Madden Drive, the Azalea side of Charleston, the Ashley River side of Charleston, is that basically back in the 1600s, well, I'm going to say the 1500s, before the Europeans kidnapped the Africans from Africa and brought them to America, before they ended, it been the Native Americans here. You see what I'm saying? When they brought them over here, they basically take the Native Americans' strategies and technology, and then they use that with the Africans' wisdom. Then they basically just start finessing from there. You see what I'm saying? So basically what I'm saying is, like, back in the day, when all this been going on, and they started to make those neighborhoods by the Ashley River side of Charleston, there's blood on that land. You see what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of blood on that land, and a lot of people might think it's fake, but when a certain area has been through certain things, the mentality, the way we love, the tradition, and the culture doesn't go anywhere, especially in Charleston. Charleston's still preserved, If we still talk like this, our mentality still the same from back in the day. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, with the 4 Mile area and the cowboys and all that, is that how I look at the 4, I always have look at the 4 as like they been before their time. You see what I'm saying? The 4 Mile always been before their time. When I've been like 12 or 13, they been toting sticks. That shit they talk about in Chicago, all that rapping shit they talk about in Chicago, that's 4 Mile right there. You see what I'm saying? They been had 30s. They been toting them 50s. Yeah, that's 4 Mile right there. A bunch of wild ass adolescents. You see what I'm saying? But one thing I could say about the women and the men of 4 Mile, when they put their mind on some business shit, they get it done. Every girl I know from off Madden Drive, they had put their mind in something, school, whatever it been, they completed it. Every dude I know from Madden Block, if they put their mind on something negative or positive, they even gonna accomplish it. You see what I'm saying? So basically, all I'm telling y'all boy from Madden Block is that it don't matter what it is. I ain't promoting no negativity, but whatever you put your mind to, y'all boy the type of people that accomplish it. You see what I'm saying? But this your boy Marlo, and I'm gonna need y'all boy to follow me on Instagram at Marlo Industries and on YouTube. If you want to hear my music, type in Marlo Industries. And if you want to see my personal life, just follow me on Facebook at Marlo Block with 2 C's at the end, man. I'm out.